Welcome to the class. Today, our topic of discussion is on factors influencing adoption process, social, personal, and situational. Coming to introduction. Among the members of a social system, some innovation diffuse from first introduction to widespread use in a few years. For example, during the mid-1970s, pocket calculator gained very rapid adoption. Uses of chemical insecticides also reached almost 90% adoptions, whereas organic farming is less adopted during the 1990s. So, it is important to study what is the characteristics of an innovation which affect the rate at which they are diffused and adopted. When one peruses the diffusion research literature, one will find a lot of efforts on studying differences of people's innovativeness and also the characteristics of different adopter categories. Very little has been devoted to investigate how the properties of an innovation and its environmental factors affect its rate of adoption. It is not correct to regard all innovations as equivalent units from the viewpoint of study or analysis. It is evidenced by the fact that some new products fail and some succeed. In this chapter, we will discuss the factors by which the adoption of an innovation may be predicted. As we all know, adoption is the decision to make full use of an innovation as the best course of action available. Now let's discuss what rate of adoption is. Rate of adoption is the relative speed with which an innovation is adopted by members of a social system. It is generally measured as the number of individuals who adopt a new idea in a specified period. So the rate of adoption is a numerical indicator of the steepness of the adoption curve of an innovation. But there are several factors which affect the rate of adoption either positively or negatively. Such factors are discussed below. A. Social factor. Social factors are the aspects that directly influence or affect lifestyles. Some important social factors include religion, ethnicity, family, physical status, economic status, education, location, life partners, children, and political system. It may be formal groups. Formal groups or formal organizations denote a social system defined by clearly stated rules, norms, and goals. Formal groups have several sets and subsystems that work to achieve this goal for both short and long-term processes. Example of a formal group in a society includes church, panchayat system, etc. Such group usually follows collective decisions. Collective decisions are choices to adopt or reject an innovation that are made by consensus among the members of a system. Usually, all of the units in the system must conform to the system's decision once it is made. Number 2 is authority decision. Authority decisions are choices to adopt or reject an innovation that are made by a relatively few individuals in a system who possess power, status, or technical expertise. The individual member of a system has little or no influence in decision making. He or she simply implements the decision. Number 2 is social cliques. People that are part of a clique are bonded together through shared or similar social characteristics such as race, ethnicity, economic status, physical appearance, etc. They know each other and usually take decisions together. For example, receiving information from a close friend or family members is interpreted and responded to in a different way as compared to receiving the same information from someone else. People from within the same cliques are likely to adopt a particular innovation together. Third one is the locality groups. Group of individuals in a society who have come together to achieve common objectives, interests, they have good interactions, understanding, mutual awareness, and we feeling among one another. For example, local clubs, farmer clubs, self-help groups, joint liability groups, etc. The members of these groups usually interact with each other, consider the pros and cons of an innovation, and take the best adoption together. Number 4 is the social status. Rizwe in the year 2003 defined social status as an evaluative hierarchy that exists within social groups such as farmers and traders. This evaluative hierarchy is structured by a wide range of characteristics, age, gender, class. It is a form of social prestige which indicates the person's and group's ability to perform tasks. Undoubtedly, one of the motivations for almost any individual to adopt an innovation is the desire to gain social status. Number 5 is the reference groups. They are the source of information to the client, for example, extension agents, subject matter specialists, progressive farmers of the locality, etc. They may be localized source of information. Localized source of information belong to the same social system as that of the receivers. Knowledge about objects and events are restricted, generally confined to the local system. Example, relatives, friends, neighbors, progressive farmers of the same locality, etc. Another is the cosmopolite source of information. Cosmopolite source of information are from outside the social system of the receivers. Their knowledge about objects and events are wider, and as such, they can bring in new ideas to the receiver. Example, extension agents, they may be personal cosmopolite, mass media, that is the impersonal cosmopolite, etc. Number 6 is the social system and its culture. A social system is defined as a set of interrelated units that are engaged in joint problem solving to accomplish a common goal. Culture of a social system refers to every aspect of life of the community, their behavior, philosophies, ethics, morals, custom, traditions, manner, etc. It is shared by the people of the same community. Likewise, adoption of a technology or innovation can be influenced by the culture of the community. They may be values. Values in simple words may be defined as the same measure of goodness or desirability. For example, members of a society will not adopt a technology in spite of its benefits if it spoils the image of your value or goodness. It can be norms. Norms are the established behavior pattern of the members of a social system. It is expected that the member of a social system shall follow the norms. A person who deviates from the norm is generally regarded as a deviant by other members of the system. An individual who first adopts a new technology may be regarded as a deviant by others. It may be traditions, a long-established custom or belief that has been passed on from one generation to another, like folkways, which are approved form of behavior in a society, or mores. Mores are similar to folkways but are more compulsive than folkways. Folkways can be violated without any punishment, but to violate a more is punishable. Example, rearing of piggery for meat purpose, Though it's a good and profitable technology intervention, it is highly prohibited in Muslim communities. Such innovation cannot be diffused in a Muslim community. Again, taboos. Taboos are negative actions that ought not and should not be done. There is a severe restriction on one's behavior pattern. For example, in some societies, it is a taboo to discuss freely about preventive innovations like family planning, use of contraceptives, etc., which impede the diffusion process. The seventh point is attitudes. Attitude is a mental state of mind formed in relation towards an innovation or technology. It has directions, either favorable or unfavorable, which are prone to changes. Environment and society can bring these changes. The other factor is the personal factor. Under personal factor, it comes the age. Age has a significant impact on innovation diffusion in a society. People of different ages tend to differ in many aspects such as social responsibility, outlook of life, and self-perception. Youth are faster to adopt a technology or innovation and very likely to discontinue the adoption due to dissatisfaction, since they are prone to taking up decisions without proper understanding. However, middle-aged people take time to adopt a technology, but it becomes sustainable in the long run. Education. It is self-explanatory that educated people are easier to get innovated and understand the benefits of an innovation or technology. Being innovative is about looking beyond what we currently do well, identifying the great ideas of tomorrow and putting them into practice. So innovation will diffuse successfully when a person is educated. The third point is psychological. Psychological factors deal with responses to any kind of situation that life presents. By responses, it means all forms of processes, adjustment, activities, and experience of the person. Such psychological factors can also affect to a great extent regarding adoption and rejection of an innovation. C. Situational factors. Situational factors may include farm income, size, and tenure status. The extension agent should try to know the present status of a farmer and should try to discuss about the goal of the farmer. That is, the extent to which the farmer would like to increase their farm land, farm produce, machinery, equipment, farm income, and as a whole, their tenure status. The extension agent should aim at the gap between the goal of the family and returns. Then, the farmers naturally will find assistance of the extension agent to identify ways and means of enhancing the farm enterprise. The second point is the standard of living. Standard of living may be defined as the quality of life which takes into account not only the material standard of living but also other more intangible aspects that make up human life, such as safety, cultural resources, social life, physical health, environmental quality issues, etc. Innovation diffuses faster to community with good standard of living and who least need the benefits of the innovation. Following Everett M. Rogers in the year 1999, he said, "The individual in a social system who most need the benefits of an innovation adoption, says from family planning to improved agricultural practices, are the less educated, less wealthy, that is, those with poor standard of living, but they are generally the last to adopt that innovation or a technology." Again, not only these factors, the attributes of innovation are also the factors affecting innovation. Number one is the relative advantage with socio-economic benefits. The degree of relative advantage is often expressed in economic profitability of the innovation. What specific type of advantages, such as economic, social, such as the low initial cost, savings in time and money, and the immediacy of the reward. These are important to the adopters. For example, farmers in India prefer using only one pesticide, which acts as both insecticide and fungicide, instead of using insecticide and fungicide separately for saving money, time, and immediate result. The second one is compatibility with values and beliefs. The degree of compatibility of the innovation with the existing socio-cultural values and beliefs, past experiences, and the clients or the farmer's need. For example, when a breed of livestock introduced to the farmer is an agreement with their belief and value, farmers readily accept the new technology or the innovation, that is the new breed. The third point is complexity and its negative effects. The complexity of an innovation, as perceived by a member or a farmer of a social system, is negatively related to its rate of adoption. For example, adoption of high-yielding technologies require adoption of balanced nutrition practices, appropriate protection technology. Because of inability to maintain all this, farmers usually reject the technology. The fourth one is the triability and its positive effect. New ideas that can be tried on limited basis are adopted more rapidly than innovations that are not divisible. Triability of an innovation, as perceived by the members or farmer of a social system, is positively related to its rate of adoption. For example, mini-kit demonstration of high-yielding variety of crops is adopted at a higher rate by the farmers. The fifth point is observability and its positive effects. The result of some idea are easily observed and communicated to the member, that is the farmers of a social system. So, it is positively adopted. For example, mini-kit demonstration of high-yielding variety of crops are adopted at a higher rate by the farmers, as they believe in seeing is believing. Now, let us discuss the topic communication channels and let's see how it affects the rate of adoption. Communication channel used to diffuse an innovation also has an influence on the innovation's rate of adoption. The channel may be mass media or interpersonal. Petrini and his associates in the year 1968 found differences in communication channel use on the basis of perceived complexity of the farmer. Mass media channels such as agricultural farm magazine were satisfactory for less complex innovation. But interpersonal contact with extension agents was more important for complex innovation. After all the discussion, now let us come to the conclusion. For a successful extension program or for the successful diffusion of technology or innovation, several factors which obstruct the diffusion rate, such as social factors, personal factors, situational factors, and other situation arises due to the different attributes of the innovation, should be thoroughly taken into consideration. Communication channel should also be properly chosen so that rejection or over-adoption do not occur due to communication gap between the extension agent and the client or the farmers.